What is up, my trigger pullers? And welcome back to Trigger Happy Tactical Podcast, the show where we take all of the cool guy gun shit, strip out all the mall ninja fantasy, and talk about what actually matters in your EDC loadout. I'm your host, Jeremy Burrs, and today we're talking EDC. And that stands for Everyday Carry for those of you who just climbed out from underneath a rock. And not just what's in my pockets, but why it's there, how I use it, and how it fits into the bigger picture of staying alive and staying dangerous. All right, almost every class I teach, at least a few students come up to me either during the class or at the end of class and ask me what I use for my personal EDC and why I choose that gear. So here we go. I'm going to try to explain it to everybody today, what I personally carry in my EDC loadout. Now, I don't want to walk out of my house every day in like full zombie apocalypse mode, right? With an EDC loadout full stacked to the full tilt. I only personally keep what I deem necessary for what I'm doing, as light as the day necessitates or needs. See, I really don't want to have my EDC become overbearing and uncomfortably royal pain in the ass, because when I see that this happens, when I see that it's cumbersome or it's a pain in the ass or it's not comfortable, I tend to see people formulate excuses on not carrying because it's just extremely cumbersome. But remember, if you're not carrying, it's not going to be there to save your life. But if you are carrying too much, it can become overcomplicated. I personally would rather have the bare minimum of what I actually need and just get rid of or remove all the fluff so I know that I can get to what I need when I need it and not have to stumble and search through stuff to try to find it, right? Today, we're going to break this down into, I guess, two basic parts. We're going to break it down into the Lite EDC for when you're going on the minimal and an extended EDC for when you're stepping out and you need a little bit more heat, a little bit more gear, and a little bit more, I'm ready if shit truly pops off. So buckle up, because today it's time to lock, load, and lighten the fucking load. Tactically, of course, right? We wouldn't have it any other way. So let's start off talking about my Lite EDC, the everyday, right? And let's start us off with what I personally just call Lite EDC, or quite literally how I carry every single day. This is I'm just going out to grab lunch or go to work or hit up Walmart. This isn't the storm the compound kind of setup, right? But just because it's light doesn't mean it has to be weak. See, every piece of my Lite EDC gear, and it should be for you too, still needs to be reliable, fast, silent, and actually have a purpose to it. Or else it's just like I said earlier, fluff. First and always, we got to talk about the gun. If your EDC doesn't include a reliable pistol, you're not actually EDCing, are you? You're just basically LARPing at this point. I want a gun that goes bang every fucking time I pull the trigger. It has to be accurate and it has to disappear under a t-shirt. I really personally don't care if what you choose has optics or fancy cool slide cuts or a flared magwell. I care that I can draw it fast as possible, and how fast can I get it out of my rig and put 2 shots on target without anybody knowing I was even carrying a firearm. Kind of holding that element of surprise, or holding that concealed portion of concealed carry for most of us. Now, what is the pistol that I personally carry every day? I carried a SIG P365 XL for the longest time. That was probably one of the guns I carried for the longest time period. I did change that up recently into a gun that I've been kind of, lusting over, I guess you would say, ever since I was at the SIG Sauer Academy in New Hampshire. And that was the SIG P365 AXG Legion. That's my new carry. That is, to me, like the epitome of exactly what I personally needed for my EDC gun. But this is different for everybody. So please don't confuse the fact that this is what I choose to carry, so it must be the perfect gun for you. That's not the case at all. In fact, a lot of times I have either students that come in or people who are just coming in to buy a new gun, and they come up to me and they're like, Jeremy, what kind of gun should I buy for my EDC gun? And I kind of look at them and say, you know what, I don't know what gun you need. I personally run this, but don't let that kind of confuse or convolute the process that you need to take to get the right gun for you, right? So you've got to go through this whole trial period of figuring out what's the right gun for you. One of the reasons why I really like the 365 AXG Legion, or I guess kind of what I would kind of bunch together in any of my EDC pistols, I like this gun because it has a thin profile, which for me makes it easy to hide. I'm not a big dude, so hiding a gun can be problematic. I'm like 5'11" and 180 pounds, so it's not always super easy to hide a big fucking gun when you really think about it. So it has to have that thin profile, making it easy to hide. I like that gun because it has good weight for recoil mitigation. It's got enough kind of weight behind it where it takes some of that snap away from it, and it doesn't really feel like a small gun that it is. But it's also not so heavy that it wants to pull my pants down, right? There's nothing worse than having a gun that just weighs a ton, and it becomes a pain in the ass to carry. It feels like it constantly wants to tug your drawers down as you're moving. I like it because it has the integrated comp, also helps tame the beast just a little bit, giving me that ability to shoot a little bit faster, that maybe a little bit more of an edge. I also do run a red dot on the top of it. On that pistol, personally, I have a SIG Romeo X red dot on there. There are quite a few great red dot systems out there that we talked about in a previous podcast. But I chose that one because it's super rugged and it's super clear. But I chose the red dot because of what it really gives me beneficially, right? It's for faster target acquisition. If you have absolutely no fucking clue what I'm talking about, why don't you go back a few episodes into the red dot episodes and really see what that's kind of all about if you're really confused. And please, dear God, don't call it a laser. Ugh, gets underneath my skin. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. And of course, to kind of go along with that pistol, right? What's its companion? Always run good, high quality self-defense rounds. There are a ton of badass rounds out there, but personally, I will always recommend some sort of hollow point round from a really, really good manufacturer. Don't get it from these off-brand manufacturers that nobody's ever heard of. Get it from good, reliable manufacturers. Aside from hollow points, there are some tumble upon impact rounds that are really good. The Fort Scott ones come to mind. I've tested those a lot, and those are pretty baller, pretty badass rounds too. But again, make sure that they're from a reputable company. Again, we got to ensure that this gun goes bang instead of click when we need to use it. That moment where the gun goes click instead of bang could be that moment that costs you and your loved ones you and their lives, right? So we have to ensure that thing is ready to boogie reliably at all times. But again, always remember, carry what works for you, right? This gun has to fit you. It has to fit your hands. It has to fit your weather or the time of year where you're at. See, we're in Illinois, and oh man, do we have all seasons-ish. It really is starting to feel like all we have is winter and summer, but the clothing that I wear in the winter is radically different than the clothing I wear in the summer. So sometimes things get hard to be able to hide in the summer when we're running much thinner clothing. They might be a little bit tighter fitting or something like that. So we've got to make sure that we can hide that firearm no matter what we're doing. And again, the right gun for you is going to depend on your hand size or how firm or how good of a grip you can purchase onto that firearm. But just don't carry garbage, right? Don't go into a gun store and I want the most budget-friendly gun on the face of this planet. And then you wind up getting an unreliable firearm, right? It doesn't save your life if it doesn't work. If the gun is a total piece of shit, well, it's probably not going to do you any good. And things always fail at the least opportune time, right? All right, now on to the next piece of kit for this. It's your holster, which it's so many times so overlooked, and it's just important as your firearm. This is the thing that's literally holding the gun to you. It has to be good. It has to be good, right? Don't cheap out on your holster. It needs to be comfortable as hell. It's got to be quiet. And of course, most importantly, it's got to be able to hold the damn gun. If I'm running or rolling, wrestling, whatever, my gun has to be able to stay put. The only time my gun should exit my holster is when I take it out of the holster, when I demand that it comes out of that holster, right? So it's got to have really good retention. I always prefer something that has a little bit of adjustable retention, because sometimes there's some things where I'm going to be doing where I need a little bit more aggressive hold on that firearm, right? Personally, the one that I use the most is by a company called G Code. It's their, oh shit, I don't remember what it is. Oh, it's a Phenom. It's the Phenom Stealth. I run that appendix carry. I do run their matching extra mag carrier too. It's a great little holster. I don't know what they're going for right now. Probably anywhere between $80 to $100, I think, depending on the model that you get. It's pretty minimal, but it covers everything that I need it to cover. It covers the trigger guard, has great retention. It's quiet. I get a good audible click when it enters the holster again to let me know that it's seated. Like I said, I don't get any rattles, weird squeaks, no weird clunking or plastic on plastic noise. All I get is a solid, clean draw when I need it, and it to stay put when I need it to stay put. Bonus points, right? If it actually stays put when you take a leak in the bathroom, that's huge, right? Don't be the guy who drops his pistol on the floor at like a Chipotle, right? Just be better than that, okay? Have a better holster or have better retention. But you know, people focus so much on spending good money on getting a good, reliable pistol, and then they put it in a $10 holster and the gun falls out, or the gun has the ability to shift around, lock itself into that damn holster, and you can't draw it out because it shifted and now it's locked on the rear sights. The amount of times I've seen people in classes come in with really badass guns, and then they cheaped out and bought this shit $10 Amazon holster that fits like 1,000 different guns, but doesn't actually fit any of them correctly, and they can't draw their firearm out. Or it's this weird 10-minute hunt to put it back in. Meanwhile, they're pointing the gun at themselves while they're trying to put it back into their holster. So don't cheap out on the holster, really don't. Next up is the knife. And no, this isn't just for opening your Amazon boxes, right, where you got your cheap holster from. This blade should be sharp, fast to deploy, and grippy enough that you don't cut your fucking fingers off when you're trying to use it under stress. You've got to make sure that you can get a really good handhold on it and your hand doesn't slip up onto the blade when you're trying to do some work with it. Personally, I usually carry something like a Micro-Tac, a good OTF or out the front knife, or I've recently fallen in love with my Ocaso Strategy Titanium. That thing is a folder, but it comes out like it's just, it's something, man. That's a badass blade. Compliments to Ocaso on that thing. It's definitely on ball bearings for sure. But for me, it's got to be able to open one-handed. I've got to be able to just boom, and there, the knife is open. I don't have to work through any steps. I don't have to do anything. It has good locking. It's got to be fast. It's got to be able to deep carry. I don't want a knife that just screams, hey, there's a big ass knife on this person. For me, EDC or conceal carry is about, well, the concealability portion of all this sort of stuff. I want to blend in, really is what I want to do, but I also want to be able to deploy something like this fast and have it almost be like a shock for the person who's attempting to victimize me or my loved ones. And remember, it's a tool first, but in the right hands, this is a dangerous weapon. Knives are brutal. Knives can be scary if we use them as a defensive weapon, right? But just like anything, if you don't know how to use it and you don't practice with it, it doesn't do you much good. All right, this next one is really underrated, and I think most people are going to scratch their heads on this one a little bit. If you've ever seen me and I take my wallet out, well, it's connected to a wallet tether. See, I carry my wallet in my front right pocket, and it's tethered to my belt loop. What's it tethered with? Well, it's a short 6-inch woven piece of 550 paracord. But when I unravel it, I get over 10 feet of paracord with that. Why? Is that important? Why is that useful? Well, I mean, when we really think about it, paracord is like the duct tape of survival gear, right? It really is. There's not much you can't do with good paracord. I mean, the stuff is just ridiculously strong and stupidly universal. You can use things like a makeshift tie off for tourniquets. You can lash splints with it. Um, if you were really, in somewhere deeper in trouble, you can rig a snare with it. You can make a sling for your firearms, or you can hang your bag off of a ledge. I know that sounds crazy, but so much can be accomplished with a small 6-inch woven tether to your wallet. It's cheap, it's light, it makes no noise having it on there. And well, if I drop my wallet, it's not going very far. It's just dropping 6 inches away. But it's not cumbersome. If anything, it's done nothing but help. If you set your wallet on the counter and you go to walk away, well, you're not leaving your wallet behind either. Next, have a damn good belt. Belts are stupidly important. See, a belt doesn't only hold up your pants, it holds your holster, which, well, it holds your firearm. A good belt is vital and necessary. Don't skimp on a belt. Your belt needs to be very rigid, hold its shape, and be the right thickness or height for your holster clips. You don't want to have your belt mismatched to your holster clips, and then your holster has the ability to shift up, down, left, and right. I personally use only core belts. Again, not a shameless plug for Core Belt. They didn't pay for any of this sort of stuff. Nothing we've talked about has helped pay for any of this sort of stuff. But I use core belts. I love them. I use them every single day. They even have dress belt, like leather belt options of it. But these things are unbelievably amazing. They have this really badass ratchet system to it, and then this really rigid inner core. And to me, those things, they're badass. The ratchet helps big time when I want to quickly tighten or quickly loosen my belt, such as like when I'm going from a stand to a sit and then back again. For me, excuse me, when I'm standing up, I like to have my belt tight. But then when I sit down, I kind of spill over the belt, I guess you'd say, a little bit. I got a little extra on my tummy now, right? I'm not getting any younger, but a tight belt becomes a problem when I go to sit down. I don't want to feel uncomfortable when I'm sitting down. And a ratchet belt allows me just to press a little button on it, and then boom, it loosens itself back up again. I stand up. I very simply, quickly push it, the belt itself, and it ratchets itself back tight again, and I'm ready to move and boogie. When I get back in my car, I can press the button, and it loosens back up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So it just makes it quick and easy to tighten and loosen, which is something that I do. And I like its small, little, tiny parts of adjustment, meaning I think it's something crazy like a 1/4 of an inch adjustment in tightness or looseness, right? So it doesn't have a bunch of the holes, which can get elongated and always seem to either be too loose or too tight. So I like having that fine tuning of adjustment on the looseness or the tightness of my belt. Another cool thing about those belts is it's a life hack for Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's right. Think about that. You go to Thanksgiving, your stomach is one size, and then as you start to eat a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you're overeating, and then you realize, oh shit, I didn't even eat dessert yet. Yeah, you just simply press the little button and it releases the belt just a little bit, and now you've got looser. And you have the next part of your meal and you click it again and it's a little looser and it's a little looser, but your gun and your pants don't want to fall off. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That is a Thanksgiving life hack. You're welcome for that one, right? But long story short, do not underestimate a kick-ass belt. They really do a lot for you. The last piece that I really have in my Lite EDC, in my everyday carry, small flashlight. Flashlights are great. It's unbelievable how much I use a flashlight. And now I know sometimes we use our lights that are on our cell phones, but those things are they're dismal comparatively speaking to a good small EDC type of tactical flashlight. For me, it has to be bright. It has to have a strobe, and it has to be one hand usable. I really prefer something that has like the butt cap button. I mean, it's on the very back of the flashlight and not mounted to like the top somewhere, because if it's a big button on the back, I can always locate it no matter how I'm holding it. Gives me the ability to turn on, off, or go through the modes being on, off, or strobe by just keeping my thumb on the back. And I can do all sorts of different handholds with that with my firearm too. Now, with this light, it's just got to be small and comfortable. I'm not trying to like signal down an aircraft or anything, but I do want to be able to blind some dude at 3 a.m. Or I want to be able to toss it into a different room other than where I'm in to pose as some sort of a distraction, either to get me out of where I'm at because I threw it into a different area or into a different room, or I did that to draw the bad guy's attention into that room so that, well, I can get to work. Light it's a weapon if you know how to use it. I mean, just the brightness of the light itself can be extremely disorienting, and especially if it has a strobe. That moment of blindness that person's going to have could mean the difference of you being able to draw your weapon or actually put 2 shots on target unharmed. So they can be used as something to blind or disorient. They can also be used physically as a weapon themselves. I've taught many a class where something like a small flashlight could be used as a tremendous weapon. The amount of places, soft tissue wise, that you can strike with a solid bodied flashlight is tremendous, and it's extremely painful if utilized in the right spots. It can be debilitating. I mean, there's a plethora of places I can teach you to shove a flashlight in or on somebody to cause pain. Yeah, don't use too much imagination on that one. And yeah, I have trained throwing a light into a different room and moving off the axe, and it sounds ridiculous, but it only sounds ridiculous until it works, right? So that was my everyday. That's what I just put on every day. To me, that's no different than, putting the stuff that you normally put on you in your pockets or on your waist or wherever you have it. Now let's get into the second part of this, and this is your extended EDC. This is, well, more. Now, when I'm out longer or potentially in an unfamiliar territory, or just feeling like I need a little bit more assurance on this, I roll out with my extended EDC. For me, this lives in like a sling bag or a fanny pack. And these are things specifically designed for EDC. Like, this isn't just, your favorite school book bag or something like that, or that cool backpack that you bought at the Nike store. No, these are purpose-driven things. But for me, it can't look like I just walked out of a Blackhawk catalog, right? We're talking gray man gear here. That's no Molly, no stupid Punisher skulls, and no cry for attention. I want to blend in with everybody else. I don't want to tell everybody, hey, I'm this tactical guy, which then says, hey, I'm potentially the guy with the gun, and well, that potentially makes you a target, doesn't it? I know if I were a bad guy and I was going to try to carry out my evil deeds, right? And I wanted to try to get away with that as unharmed as possible so you can carry out the most carnage, wouldn't you look at the person who looks the most tactical first, eliminate them so that you can move on to the other sitting ducks? So I want to blend in. I want this to look like a regular, everyday, commuter type sling bag or fanny pack. Now, I just want to preface this fanny pack thing here. Crap, I lived in the 80s. Oh, God. And I swear to God, I'd never wear a fanny pack ever again because gross. But some companies have just come out with some badass, quote unquote, EDC tactical fanny packs that are badass, and I never wear them around my waist. I wear them crossbody as far as that goes. So when we're talking about the bag, most commonly I'll use my sling bag. I use a Vertex sling bag. I've tried the Victos one too. Yeah, you got double V's there. They're both badass. The Victos one is amazing. The Vertex one is the one I use the most. I've got a few variations of the their version of a sling bag and a fanny pack and an actual backpack. But the sling bag, that's my go-to. Like that's my gear of badassery, I guess you'd say. For me, the bag has to be able to sit close to the body. I want this thing kind of tight to my body so that that added weight doesn't cause any unnecessary strain on the rest of my body. And I will know if somebody attempts to get in it or grab it or try to unzip it. It inputs very well through the bag into your body. I like the sling bag one because for me, it's stupidly easy to just grab a hold and sling it up to my front super fast to be able to extract that firearm. But for me, it also has to be able to detach quickly in case somebody grabs onto it. See, I don't want that sling bag to be the reason why somebody can hold on to me, pull me back, and either slam me to the ground or hold onto it while they're trying to stab or shoot me. So if somebody grabs onto it and I can't work it quickly, I will simply press my little button. It will drop it down to the ground, allowing me to spin around and start to get to work with the firearm that I have on my person if that's necessary. And I always run a ballistic panel in mine. I mean, why not? These ballistic backpack panels are extremely light. They don't add any bulk to it at all. And that way, when it's on my back, it's now protecting my back from things I can't see, from somebody trying to stab me in my back or somebody trying to shoot me in my back. But if something pops off in front of me or I now need to confront that threat, I simply reach around, pull it all the way up across my chest, and now that thing's protecting all of my vitals, right? It really comes in and starts protecting that cardiovascular triangle that's filled with all those little gooey bits that I don't want to have perforated, right? So now I basically have a bulletproof vest in front of my vitals. It's awesome, right? It also holds a secondary weapon for me. I will run a secondary weapon in that sling bag. And the reason why I say go to sling bag is because they're purpose built to have that firearm and those things away from all the other contents of your bag so nobody knows you have it in there. I will also carry extra mags, tools, first aid, and just generally some of the same gear I carry in my standard EDC, which I'll still be carrying also, but just bigger, better versions of it. And remember, this isn't like a full-on bug-out bag. This is kind of like your oh shit module, I guess you'd say. And remember, the fight doesn't end after the first mag sometimes, so don't act like it does. That's why those extra mags and secondary weapons are in there. One of the most important things I keep in there besides my mags and my weapons and all that is my IFAK. IFAK stands for Individual First Aid Kit. To me, having an IFAK in something like that is not negotiable. Even if you're somebody who doesn't carry a firearm, doesn't carry a knife, carry a damn IFAK with you. At minimum, a good IFAK should have stuff like tourniquets, chest seals. Now notice that is plural, chest seals. Too many times I see IFAK kits or people's first aid loadouts, and it only includes one chest seal. You need to have two. There are no exceptions to that rule. If a bullet goes in and it hits you in the chest or in the lungs, and we seal off the front, but there is an exit wound to that too, it's not going to do us any good. We need to make sure that we seal both sides of the injury. It needs to have some sort of gauze, always gloves, trauma shears, and a clotting agent. To me, that's your bare bones minimum. Should you have more in there? Yes. You should have soft splints and some other things like that. But what I just told you is really what's going to be your bare bones minimum. And they make great IFAK kits out there. Do make sure you don't get any weird off-brand kind of IFAKs. You do get what you pay for when it comes to an individual first aid kit. But just as important having it on you, everybody in your group needs to know where it is, how to use it, and not be afraid to dig into it if you catch a round or break something important on yourself. See, everybody with you has to know how to use it, because what if you're the one that's injured and you're not going to be able to render yourself first aid, and everybody just kind of stands around you looking for directions? Meanwhile, you've got bullet holes in your chest, or you just shattered your thigh, or your femur or something like that. Everybody needs to be able to know how to use it. For me, it's mounted in my sling bag under the very first flap, which on my Vertex sling bag has a loop, and you can just simply pull straight down on it, and it opens up that entire portion of the backpack where only the IFAK kit is housed. That way, no matter what, nobody has to look, nobody has to say anything. It just instantly go into action, pull down on it, the entire IFAK is there ready to boogie. Next, bigger light. Right? Why not? Right? Bigger is going to be better when it comes to something like this. It's going to have more lumens than your small pocket one. It's going to have a better throw to it, and it's going to have much longer life to it. Something like a good one, though, like a Streamlight or a Surefire. And nothing against Harbor Freight, but don't go there and buy their tactical lights. They just blow. They really do. They suck. We want to make sure that it's waterproof or water resistant, shockproof, shock resistant. Usually I prefer ones that are rechargeable, and that'll make a little bit more sense a little bit later on when we talk about a couple other things that I have with me. This one's for the more serious work that I've got to do with a flashlight. Yeah, I can use it as a signaling device. Don't get me wrong, but me personally, I look at it as a way to light my way, a diversion or a distraction. And yes, it also has to have a strobe that blinds the hell out of somebody in a hallway or in the woods or in a structure. I want this strobe to be intense and as gnarly as possible because I want that temporary pause from the bad guy where he can't identify where I'm at, or maybe he puts his hands up to his face, which means he's not attacking me, which gives me those crucial seconds to be able to get to that firearm or get to that knife, right? Those seconds count. Every millisecond you can gain in a firefight or in a defensive situation is more milliseconds you have to survive and to protect you and your loved ones. The next thing I always carry is some sort of small fire source. This one really, everybody kind of understands a fire source is good. I carry something like a ferro rod or a lighter, waterproof, windproof if you're going to do a lighter or whatever, right? If you're that cool and you're that good, rub two fucking sticks together, I guess. But to me, I don't want to rub sticks together. I want to be able to use something like a ferro rod or a lighter. Fire can and is life support. If you're stuck off grid or you're in the middle of something, even abandoned buildings, potentially you can figure out a way to safely create fire to give you heat or to be able to cook off of. But it's also another good way to try to signal too. You can use fire as a signaling device for people, whether it be at the fire itself or smoke, or even if you're lost somewhere and they're searching for you, searching for rescue, you can use that sort of stuff. I also carry a battery backup. You need something like a battery backup, and it's not just to charge your phone so you can keep your Facebooking and your Snapchatting or anything like that. I want to make sure my phone is charged because I want to be able to have my GPS location on if necessary, or to make emergency phone calls if everything is still operational. You can use it to charge a rechargeable weapon light. That's another reason why having a good rechargeable weapon light is a good thing, because you can recharge it off these battery backups. Your flashlight, you can recharge your flashlight. Like I said, weapon light or flashlight. Me, I grab a slim USB brick type one that has a cord already built into it with multiple different types of attachments for it, from mini USB, micro USB, full USB. Because then I can charge those things that I need to charge. Get a good rugged one, again, that's shock resistant, temperature resistant, and water resistant or waterproof. Sometimes we got to look at it this way. Power can equal communication. Communication can equal life. So make sure that we have the ability to have some extra power with us. Again, they're light, they're small, and they're not cumbersome at all. Next, bigger knife. Go big or go home with this one. Now, I'm not talking you have to have like cartel type machete with you. I'm just talking something a little bit bigger. This isn't your EDC OTF out the front or your EDC folder. This is your cut through a car seat, cut through a seat belt, or cut through a guy if I had to kind of knife, right? I always prefer a fixed blade with something like this so I don't have to worry about any locking mechanisms. I can use it to chop things. I can use it to spear things. It needs to have a strong sheath that, again, is quiet, just like your holster, that has really good retention, but at the same time allows me to access it really fast. I prefer this type of knife because I may need to use this for a major tool or as a major self-defense weapon. A good, big, fixed blade knife is an amazing tool and an amazing weapon. Now, how about more paracord? Because, I don't know, why not? I mean, when we think about it, if I'm carrying 10 feet on me and that's good, wouldn't like 30, 40 feet be better than that? You can use it again to build shelters, tie someone up or restrain someone if you had to, rig up your gear, improvise a sling. Paracord it's like I said, man, it really is like the duct tape of off-grid or survival. The cool part about paracord is it can be woven to be much, much, much smaller, and paracord is very light, so you will have no idea you're even carrying it. Just stow it away into something where you can retrieve it, and it's just there. You'll never know you even have it on you until you need to use it. And then last but not least, a small little added thing that I always add into my extended EDC bag is I have a small water filter. I can use it to drink water out of some contaminated water if I absolutely had to. And this thing's only like the size of my thumb. It's super, super small, but this little itty bitty device can save your life if it's extremely hot or, water systems go down, water becomes contaminated, anything like that. This small little thing the size of your thumb could mean survival, right? They're small, they're cheap, and really there's really no excuse to have one of those on hand in that extended EDC bag. Now, putting all this stuff in the bag, it's not big, it's not cumbersome, it's not heavy, and it doesn't look like I'm ready to boogie with this thing. It just looks like I'm a regular old commuter with a regular old commuter sling bag. Now, really, here's the deal. EDC is a mindset. It's not about carrying everything I can. And trust me, I'm sure I'm going to get some comments about you forgot this or you forgot that or you don't have this. And if you don't have that sort of stuff, you're fucking dead. That's neat. That's in a big ass boogie or a bug out bag. That's cool. But I'm talking about something that I can keep with me every day. I can wear this every day. I can wear that backpack or that fanny pack every day if I had to. And if I don't have to, I can go with the Lite EDC, and it's not cumbersome. It doesn't add a tremendous amount of weight or bulk or heft. So I'm not going to go, man, I'm just really not feeling like carrying all this shit today. It's heavy, big, and cumbersome. I'm going to leave it at home because I'm only going to Walmart. Well, can't shit pop off at Walmart? So these are the kind of bare minimums I say that I can use on a daily basis, and it doesn't matter to me. It's not adding too much of anything, right? This isn't about carrying everything you possibly can. It's about carrying what you need to win the first 5 minutes of a fight or whatever type of nightmare kicks off in front of you. But train with your gear. Know it like your life depends on it. You really, really need to train. And again, train with it like your life depends on it because, well, it fucking does. And if you're not carrying anything, well, you're just walking around hoping that nothing happens. And hope, to be honest with you, is a real piss poor strategy now, isn't it? All right, well, that's it for this episode of Trigger Happy Tactical Podcast. If you liked this, share it with your squad, leave a review, and send us your EDC picks because you know what? I might roast them on the next episode. Until next time, it's time to lock, load, and carry like your life depends on it, because it just might.